and process of our city, for directions which will lead our city to be strong and unified. May we continue the legacy of our founders. May we be granted this day the wisdom to make decisions which will be for the good of our city. Pray for your special blessing on all those who are working to transform our city to make it a better place to live and work. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Clark, roll call, please.
Councilor Rita Mercia.
Here.
Councilor Milanazzo.
Here.
Councilor Broderick.
Here.
Mayor Caulfield. Here. Councilor Elliott.
Here.
Councilor Kazandrian.
Here.
Councilor Lenzi.
Here.
Councilor Martin.
Here.
Councilor Armin Mercia.
Here.
9 present.
The chair would like to recognize Councilor Michael Lindsay.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to have a moment of silence with darkened chambers for Susan Ponte, a loving and devoted wife, mother, and grandmother. Sue worked at the Eastern Bank, formerly Mass Bank, in Chelmsford for many years. And Sue's favorite pastime was spending time with her family and her beloved friends. In addition to her, she is survived by her loving husband, John, and 2 great kids, Keith and Kyle, and her granddaughter, Alyssa. May she rest in peace.
May we have a moment of silence with darkened chambers? May she rest in peace. I had the great pleasure to visit the Wish Project warehouse 2 weeks ago. And the old cliche is a picture is worth 1,000 words. And what I saw was an incredible dedication on the part of many people. And we'd like to present a proclamation to Donna Honeywell, who has taken that leadership role and is helping people throughout the Merrimack Valley. And I would like to have everyone visit that warehouse. There's 14,000 square feet of furniture, clothing. It's all organized. And to my dismay, the warehouse is full and it's empty in a week. And that's going on constantly. So Donna, on behalf of the mayor, the city council, Manager Lynch and his administration, and the people of this city, we want to thank you dearly for the great work you're doing. And I'm going to do that now with this proclamation. Whereas the Lowell Wish Project's 13,000 square foot warehouse stores over $850,000 in value of family goods to help more than 24,500 individuals. Winter coats, blankets, furniture, clothing, baby gear, and more. And whereas the Lowell Wish Project works with 94 agencies and programs in the Merrimack Valley and has many volunteers who assist with preparation and storing of shelves, and whereas everyone in Lowell is encouraged to give an extra push to the ongoing volunteer activity, especially with the winter months, and to use the opportunity to come together and experience the power of greatness. Now, therefore, I, Edward C. Caulfield, Mayor of the City of Lowell, Massachusetts, do hereby proclaim November 4, 2008 as Lowell Wish Day in the City of Lowell, Massachusetts, given this 4th day of November, the year 2008. And I just want to say that there's a fundraiser this Thursday evening at Mount Pleasant Country Club to benefit this great organization. God bless you, Donna.
Thank you. Where'd he go? Thank you. Thank you very much, Bud, and all of you. Thank you. And here, I have this for you. This is a picture. We set a new world record that day for a number of volunteers working in the warehouse simultaneously. It was about 156 volunteers. Not many places in Massachusetts, frankly, can have that many volunteers working at one time. I did want to thank the City Council. Some of you may know, some of you may not know, but over 14 years ago, the City Council started an organization called the City of Lowell Hunger Homeless Commission. And about 8 years ago, when I was pregnant with my first child, I got involved with that organization. And every month, still to this day, all the leaders of the food pantries and shelters come and meet here at City Hall to discuss how we can solve the holes in the system, primarily through communication. Kristen Rosikowicz happens to be the current chairperson of that. I've just recently stepped down after 8 years. But if it hadn't been for that organization and that communication and awareness, I would never have been so inspired and connected to the agencies to figure out the need. And as much as I greatly appreciate this, and I'm very honored for this because Lowell will always be a home to me, I really want you to know that we had more than 26 towns involved in this. Lowell 5 Bank, there were many banks. We had 38 collection spots. One thing about the Lowell Wish Project is we are reaching deep into the suburbs, into Sudbury, into Westwood and Boxford, bringing people into the city of Lowell to volunteer and therefore exposing them to the culture and the wonderful things about our city. And we're always so proud that in the city of Lowell that has such poverty, that we don't have panhandlers. And people are always shocked how safe the streets of Lowell are, that for the depth of poverty, we feed our people, we clothe our people, and to the best of our ability, we house our people. So you're doing a wonderful job in extremely trying times. I know our state funding was cut tremendously. And starting our 4th year, we're facing some tremendous challenges. But CDBG's been very supportive. The city's always been very supportive, and I'm sure we will find a way to persevere. So, Winter Wishes, got to give a plug. This Thursday night, food by Mike Lindsay's. So wonderful food, fantastic auction items, and we really need to make up that deficit from the $35,000 we lost from the state. So please come by and have a great time with the Wish Project.
God bless you and all the great work you do.
And
Thank
if you want to find out more, just go to our website, thewishproject.org. That's thewishproject.org. We're over on Foundry Street. Thank you very much.
Thank you. How about a round of applause? And I'd like to bring this gentleman forward to the podium. He is the exalted ruler of the Low Lodge of Elks. And the Low Lodge of Elks, for decades, they've been reaching out to the community, helping people in need. And I was at a road race there Sunday morning, and I know the doors of the Elks were wide open, and they volunteered that beautiful hall. And there was a lot of money raised for Jason Barnes Memorial Scholarship Fund. I'd like to introduce to the council and to Manager Lynch and his staff, Paul Savory, the exalted ruler of the Low Lodge of Elks, and Paul has a little bit to say about a Sunday event. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Councilman. Thank you, City Manager. The Elks, well, first of all, I'm the current exalted ruler of the Lower Lodge of Elks. And the Elks, throughout the nation, have had a saying that as long as there are veterans, the Benevolent Protective Order of Elks will never forget them. And it's incredibly evident if you were to have been involved in the Elks in any way or ever looked up the organization as to how every lodge, over 2,000 of them throughout the country, do incredible things, whether it's for scholarships. Veterans is one of their biggest programs. They run tons of benefits, dinners. They go to the different hospitals to help out. This year, Lowell is no different. On the 18th, we have a dinner that is going to be put on for the residents of the veterans' homes, the disabled vets in Lowell. There are 6 houses. We'll have approximately 100 people there. This is financed by fundraisers that the Elks do. Now we're having our Veterans Breakfast, which is coming up this Sunday from 8:30 to 11. This is going to be held at the lodge in the main hall. The tickets are $6 a person. They're going to have all kinds, the usual breakfast. It's going to have pancakes and sausage and all that kind of good stuff. This is financed through the lodge, through different businesses, individuals, and the sale of tickets. They're $6 a piece. Please, if you can, everything that we raise for that particular event is going to be divvied up among the residents of those 6 houses in Lowell. One day, maybe we'll be able to go beyond Lowell, but right now, all the organizations, especially the fraternal organizations, their membership is down. So you don't have as much money coming in, so we have to run these type of events. So please, if you can, it will be an honor to have you guys there. It's only $6 a ticket. This is open to the general public. It's a great meal, and it'll definitely benefit those that need benefiting. Thank you very much.
Paul, thank you, and thanks to the Elks for the great work they do every single year. Thank you very much. Thank you. I was asked earlier this evening if we can expedite this meeting, and I will do everything I can to expedite the meeting, and we do have city business to take care of, but I will expedite the meeting as quickly as I can, but I need some cooperation from 8 people. So let's start with the agenda. I'll entertain a motion to accept the minutes of the last meeting and place them on file by Council Broderick, second by Council Elliott. All in favor, signify by saying aye. The minutes have been accepted and placed on file. Communications from City Manager Lynch. Council Milonazo.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor, to the city manager, there's a memo in our packets regarding the tax classification public hearing. Do we need a suspension of the rules this evening to set that public hearing for November 25th, or?
I believe we probably do, yes.
Okay. If it's okay with the mayor, I'd move for a suspension.
Second.
Motion to suspension of the rules, seconded by Council Rita Mercia. All in favor of the suspension, signify by saying aye. Any opposed? The suspensions are in order.
And again, it's for the purpose of setting the public hearing date of November 25th for the tax classification public hearing.
Why don't we take a roll call on that?
Councilor Rita Mercia.
Yes.
Councilor Milonazo.
Yes.
Councilor Broderick.
Yes.
Mayor Caulfield.
Yes.
Councilor Elliott.
Yes.
Councilor Kazandrian.
Yes.
Councilor Lenzi.
Yes.
Councilor Martin.
Yes.
Councilor Arman Mercia.
Yes.
9 yeas.
Just on that one note, Council, I'm glad you brought that up, through the chair to the manager. We will definitely have some figure from the Department of Revenue on free cash, and we are going to be using some money from that board, the assessors. Help me with that title.
The overlay.
Overlay account.
The declaration of an overlay surplus.
Right.
That's already been built into the budget
Yes.
calculations that we have out there. And the auditor perhaps could speak to the free cash number, whether we'll have an actual free cash number at that point in time.
I actually just got some numbers today from the treasurer's office, so I'm preparing all the paperwork to go into Boston. It'll leave my office by no later than Friday, and it'll be in Department of Revenue's hands. So I would assume prior to that meeting, we will have,
The council would have that information before the November 25th.
assuming that everything's okay with Department of Revenue, yes.
Thank you. Any other communications, Councilor Kazandrian?
Thank you, Mayor. This is referring to telephone poles. There's a double pole at the corner of Lakeview Ave and right the Lowell line, Lowell Drake line. Somebody called me up on that. I just wonder if we can take a look at it. I know Mass Electric and Verizon have been working on it, but if you can just check on that for me.
We can look at
Okay,
that for you.
great. Thank you.
Any other communications? Councilor Arman Mercia.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Through you to the city manager, I noticed that we had a communication in our packet of you naming some people to the Solid Waste Recycling Advisory Committee. I guess my question is there a way, or was there something that we couldn't do or wouldn't do that would outreach to the minority community that would be very helpful in this situation? I can't tell by the names, except I can recognize the French names, but I can't tell by the other names whether or not there's someone from the Southeast Asian community, someone from the Latino community. Those are the people who I think are going to be key to the success of this.
Right. I think that's a great point, Councilor, and we've been in touch with people from throughout the community. These are the people that came forward, but there's nothing that would prevent us, given the type of committee this is, to add additional people as we move forward.
Look, I would just suggest that some communication be sent to the organizations that represent the minority community. We have a number of them, that this is available, it's possible, and they could be included, because I think that we would need them badly.
I agree.
Because based on what I know of this city and the different sections of the city, we need that assistance in order to make this work.
Right. I'll
So
double
if you
check to
could-
see
if
if
you
that's
could
been done,
outreach
but
to
we'll do it again.
Okay,
if it hasn't.
thank you.
Any other communications? If not, accept the communications and place them on file by Council Kazandrian, second by Council Lindsay. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Any opposed? The communications are accepted and placed on file. Moving on with the agenda. We have a communication, out-of-state travel. Any discussion or debate on the out-of-state travel? If none, roll call.
Councilor Rita Mercia.
Yes.
Councilor Milonazo.
Yes.
Councilor Broderick.
Yes.
Mayor Caulfield.
Yes.
Councilor Elliott.
Yes.
Councilor Kazanjian.
Yes.
Councilor Lenzi.
Yes.
Councilor Martin.
Yes.
Councilor Arman Mercia.
Yes.
9 yeas.
Authorizing the city manager on behalf of the city of Lowell to accept a gift of $100 from Greater Lowell Chamber of Commerce Incorporated to be used for the holiday reception at the Senior Center, whereas the Greater Lowell Chamber of Commerce Incorporated wishes to donate a gift of $100 to be used for the holiday reception at the Senior Center, and whereas the city of Lowell desires to accept the gift of said $100 to be used for said holiday reception, now therefore be it voted that the city manager be and he is hereby authorized in the name of the city of Lowell to accept the gift of $100 to be used for costs and expenses associated with the holiday reception held on December 14, 2008 at the Senior Center pursuant to Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 44, Section 53A. Be it further voted that we, the members of the City Council of the City of Lowell, jointly and severally do hereby commend and officially extend the gratitude of the City of Lowell to the Greater Lowell Chamber of Commerce Incorporated for the generosity displayed through the donations of the aforesaid funds for the City of Lowell. Second reading by title, authorizing the city manager on behalf of the City of Lowell to accept a gift of $100 from the Greater Lowell Chamber of Commerce Incorporated to be used for the holiday reception at the Senior Center. Any questions? Yes, Councilor Reed.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Deb Belanger in the Chamber of Commerce, Jeannie Osborne in the Chamber of Commerce, they're really so gracious.
Yes.
Please, let's send a thank you card to them. They never forget the mayor's holiday party. But through you, Mr. Mayor, to the city manager, this is a formality of the right thing to do to accept this gift. My question is, when we have tax bills go out and there's that paper in there that checks off donations for, I don't know, education to the seniors, how come we're not accepting those gifts? I'm sure we're getting donations or something like that. Why do we not get any, come before the council to accept those gifts?
Because essentially, those are, we've already accepted them by placing the checkoff in the tax
Oh, I
bill.
see. Okay, so that's.
And those are set by statute
Okay,
on
that's
how we do
fine.
that.
I just was wondering about that. Thank you.
I just want to explain to the council that I decided to have the holiday reception at the Senior Center. There's ample parking, and the seniors can get in there without any problem. The mayor's reception is getting so big at the holiday time. The City Hall isn't really big enough, it's confining. So there's a stage there, it's already decorated, and I think the seniors will enjoy it immensely. It'll be on Sunday from 2 to 5. Everyone is welcome to attend. Roll call.
December 14th, Mr. Mayor.
Did I say that?
I didn't hear you. but-
December 14th.
Right, thank you.
Roll call.
Councilor Rita Mercia.
Yes.
Councilor Milonazo.
Yes.
Councilor Broderick.
Yes.
Mayor Caulfield.
Yes.
Councilor Elliott.
Yes.
Councilor Kazanjian.
Yes.
Councilor Lenzi.
Present.
Councilor Martin.
Yes.
Councilor Arman Mercia.
Yes.
8 yeas, 1 present.
I guess he's going to-
Authorizing the city manager, acting through the Division of Planning and Development, to apply for and accept and expend a grant, a total amount of $17,500 from the Massachusetts Department of Conservation and Recreation, Urban and Community Forest Programs for a street tree inventory. Motion to waive the full reading by Council Milonazo, seconded by Council Rita Mercia. All in favor, signify by saying aye. The full reading's been waived. Second reading by title, authorizing the city manager, acting through the Division of Planning and Development, to apply for, accept, and expend a grant in a total amount of $17,500 from the Massachusetts Department of Conservation and Recreation Urban and Community Forest Program for street tree inventory. Any discussion, any debate? If none, roll call.
Councilor Rita Mercia.
Yes.
Councilor Milonazo.
Yes.
Councilor Broderick.
Yes.
Mayor Caulfield.
Yes.
Councilor Elliott.
Yes.
Councilor Kazanjian.
Yes.
Councilor Lenzi.
Yes.
Councilor Martin.
Yes.
Councilor Arman Mercia.
Yes.
9 yeas.
Authorizing the city manager, acting to the Division of Planning and Development, to apply for, accept, and expend 3 grants in the total amount of $1,400,000 from the United States Department of Environmental Protection for brownfield assessments and cleanups. Motion to waive the full reading by Councilor Michael Lindsay, seconded by Councilor Kazanjian. All in favor of waiving the full reading, signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Full reading's been waived. Second reading by title. Authorizing the city manager, acting through the Division of Planning and Development, to apply for, accept, and expend 3 grants in the total amount of $1,400,000 for the United States Department of Environmental Protection for brownfields, assessments, and cleanups. Any discussion, debates on this particular issue? Councilor Kazanjian.
Is it, I know it's a number of properties that we going to clean up. Is it, how many are there? Or, is it, this is not part of the land that we just talked about next to the arena?
No, I did, Assistant Manager Bakey can address those specific issues.
There's 3 different grants that we're applying for, and they're not actually tied to any specific property. The first 2 in the amount of $200,000 each are for assessments, and they're for any property in the city that we might deem it necessary to test for potential contaminants. And the third one is to establish or reestablish a revolving loan fund, which we have one now, and it's expiring at the end of this year, so we're seeking $1 million to capitalize a new one that would be available to private developers who are interested in doing projects. They could borrow the money from us and repay it potentially with interest.
Okay.
Council Martin.
Thank you. That's, as I understand, something, it sounds new to me. I think in the past, the EPA grants we've had required it to be city-owned property. Is this something new, Mr. Bakey, or is this an expansion of something we've had for a while?
Well, the cleanup grants that we've gotten in the past often aren't necessarily for specific properties, and the program that we apply through does need to be for city-owned properties. The assessment grants actually are for city-owned as well. The revolving loan fund is a program that's available for us to loan money to private parties, and they can be either for-profit or not-for-profit to use to clean up their properties.
And the idea is it gets paid back and we have that pool then to relend to somebody else?
Exactly. It's a revolving loan fund
Okay.
that would be set up
Okay.
if we receive the grant.
All right. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Roll call.
Councilor Rita Mercia.
Yes.
Councilor Milonazo.
Yes.
Councilor Broderick.
Yes.
Mayor Caulfield.
Yes.
Councilor Elliott.
Present.
Councilor Kazandrian.
Yes.
Councilor Lenzi.
Yes.
Councilor Martin.
Yes.
Councilor Arman Mercia.
Yes.
8 yeas, 1 present.
Vote authorizing the city manager acting through the Division of Planning and Development to apply for, accept, and expend a grant in a total amount of $200,000 for the Massachusetts Department of Housing and Community Development Smart Growth Zoning Incentive Program. Motion to waive the full reading by Council Martin, seconded by Council Arman Mercia. All in favor of waiving the full reading, signify by saying aye. Any opposed? The full reading's been waived. Second reading by title, authorizing the city manager acting through the Division of Planning and Development to apply for, accept, and expend a grant in a total amount of $200,000 from the Massachusetts Department of Housing and Community Development Smart Growth Zoning Incentive Program. Discussion, debate, Council Elliott.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a quick question. This is it's a 50% match on this grant, and I think this is a great idea to do a street tree inventory and allow us to, target hazardous trees, et cetera. But the match is going to be, am I in the wrong one again? I'm sorry.
Any other discussion? Roll call.
Councilor Rita Mercia.
Yes.
Councilor Milonazo.
Yes.
Councilor Broderick.
Yes.
Mayor Caulfield.
Yes.
Councilor Elliott.
Yes.
Councilor Kazandrian.
Yes.
Councilor Lenzi.
Yes.
Councilor Martin.
Yes.
Councilor Arman Mercia.
Yes.
9 yeas.
Vote authorizing the city manager to execute a drainage and sewer easement agreement with Connect the Park Holdings LLC, owner of property at 41 Wellman Street, 59 Electronics Avenue, and 790 Chester Street in the city of Lowell. Motion to waive the full reading by Council Rita Mercia, seconded by Council Milonazo. All in favor of waiving the full reading, signify by saying aye. Any opposed? The full reading's been waived. Second reading by title, authorizing the city manager to execute a drainage and sewer easement agreement with Connect the Park Holding LLC, owner of property at 41 Wellman Street, 59 Electronics Avenue, and 790 Chester Street in the city of Lowell. Questions, debate? From anyone? Council Kazandrian.
Is this the property that Lowe's is planning on building that property and they're paying for the CSO, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions pertaining to that? I just want to say that their investment in helping us with that, the CSOs is immense, and it's helping us with that drainage problem immensely, so.
I think that's like $2 or $3 million out of their
Yes.
own pocket that
Most
they're going to be
definitely.
spending over there.
I see Mark Young over there nodding,
Right.
yes, that's right, so. they're really helping the city out with this. Roll call.
Councilor Rita Mercia.
Yes.
Councilor Milonazo.
Yes.
Councilor Broderick.
Yes.
Mayor Caulfield.
Yes.
Councilor Elliott.
Yes.
Councilor Kazanjian.
Yes.
Councilor Lenzi.
Yes.
Councilor Martin.
Yes.
Councilor Arman Mercia.
Yes.
9 yeas.
Vote authorizing the establishment under Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 44, Section 53E and a half of a revolving fund in the city auditor's office using funds collected from enforcement penalties pursuant to Code of Ordinances of the City of Lowell, Section 5-121, vacant and foreclosing property. Said funds shall be used for the purpose of securing vacant and foreclosing property as defined in Section 5-121, secured referred to herewithin above. The property shall be secured pursuant to all applicable provisions of the Code of Massachusetts Regulation and Massachusetts General Laws. Motion to waive the full reading by Council Lindsay, seconded by Council Broderick. All in favor of waiving the full reading, signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Full reading's been waived. Second reading by title. Authorizing the establishment under Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 44, Section 53E and a half, of a revolving fund in the city auditor's office using funds collected from enforcement penalties pursuant to the Code of Ordinances of the City of Lowell, Section 5-121, entitled Vacant and Foreclosing Properties. Said funds shall be used for the purpose of securing vacant and foreclosing properties as defined in Section 5-121, referred to herewithin above. The property shall be secured pursuant to all applicable provisions of the Code of Massachusetts Regulations, Massachusetts General Laws. Any questions? Council Elliott.
Okay, Mr. Manager, Madam Auditor, can you explain what this is for? I'm sure it's just to expedite the process once we do proceed with these properties, as well as disposition, and limitation is $50,000. Is that what section number 6, limited to $50,000 in a fiscal year for the purposes?
Right. The statute, this is a 53E and a half is a revolving fund statute, and it is required that you put some type of limit on how much can be contained within that revolving fund during a fiscal year. And it does require, until there's any change in law, it does require that this be done on an annual basis. What this provides for, what we're doing here is, as you know, the City Council adopted an ordinance several weeks ago, a couple months ago now, regarding foreclosed properties, a registration process. What we've come across, though, in the city is a number of locations. There are foreclosed properties that needed to be boarded up, and we need to secure those properties, and we don't have an account available to us to fund those action items. So what we came up with was an idea that since those are foreclosed properties, that we would take the registration fee and the penalties that we gain from that ordinance, put those into this account. We would then use that account to pay for the necessary work that needs to be done at the foreclosed properties that have these security issues, the boarding up and so on. And then that money would be repaid back into the revolving fund from the owner once we assess the necessary penalties against those people. So that way there's no city money, there's no taxpayer money going to do this. It would simply be the owners of the foreclosed properties, the banks, the financial institutions that would then be paying this off, and it would stay in that revolving fund in that manner.
How many properties are we estimating we're looking at?
You know, we've only had a couple so far that we've had this problem with, but it has been a case of, okay, where do we get the money? And so we've had to come up with some city funds to do that. And again, we'll get that money back, but this is a more appropriate accounting mechanism. The auditor has recommended that it come through in that way.
Okay, thank you.
And I think this will benefit the entire city because you have homes that are foreclosed and they're sitting there vacant, and it creates an eyesore in the city. So this is going to be a way to address that. Any other questions pertaining to this? If none, roll call.
Councilor Rita Mercia.
Yes.
Councilor Milonazo.
Yes.
Councilor Broderick.
Yes.
Mayor Caulfield.
Yes.
Councilor Elliott.
Yes.
Councilor Kazanjian.
Yes.
Councilor Lenzi.
Yes.
Councilor Martin.
Yes.
Councilor Arman Mercia.
Yes.
9 yeas.
Order. Renaming Hamilton Street in the City of Lowell as Marsden Street. Whereas pursuant to City Code Section 17-22, the City Council has the authority to name and to change the name of streets in the City of Lowell, and whereas it is commonly referred to as Marsden Street in the Jam Plan and commonly known as Marsden Street, however, the official plans in the engineer's office reflect the name as Hamilton Street. Now therefore, it is ordered by the City Council of the City of Lowell that the city shall take the appropriate action to rename Hamilton Street in the City of Lowell as Marsden Street. Second reading by title, renaming Hamilton Street in the City of Lowell as Marsden Street. Any questions? Council Rita Mercer?
I never knew that Marsden Street was not ever Marsden Street. Is the city engineer saying it's actually Hamilton Street? Because
That's-
I never knew it as any other street but Marsden Street. In fact, if you looked at the side of the building, the name says Marsden. It's the Marsden Building. It's
Adam,
Marsden
if-
Street.
I'll let
You
Mr.
want to
Bakey.
clarify this
I never knew that.
historic issue before us?
Most people didn't, including the one party who now has an address on it. But when he tried to approach the post office about declaring his official address as 1 Marsden Street, they told him that in their official records it was Hamilton Street. So basically, we are merely doing, I think, what one would consider a housekeeping measure so that we can inform the post office that indeed it is Marsden Street, as we've
Wow,
always all
that's a
believed.
surprise. That's a surprise to me.
Any other questions about Hamilton or Marsden Streets? Roll call.
Councilor Rita Mercia.
Yes.
Councilor Milonazo.
Yes.
Councilor Broderick.
Yes.
Mayor Caulfield.
Yes.
Councilor Elliott.
Yes.
Councilor Kazandrian.
Yes.
Councilor Lenzi.
Yes.
Councilor Martin.
Yes.
Councilor Arman Mercia.
Yes.
9.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
I did have a is there only one house impacted by this? Is one property? Right. Thank you.
The next article on the agenda, number 11, is the ordinance amending the Chapter 4 Dangerous and Vicious Dogs. And Solicitor David Fenton talked to me today, and he recommends that we should send this ordinance to a subcommittee, and the only subcommittee I think that can deal with this is Public Safety. I think there's some things in here that are missing, and we do have a gentleman who probably would like to address the council. Craig Gates, suspension of the rules, will allow
Yes.
Craig Gates to speak. Motion to suspend the rules by Council Rita Mercer, second by Council Jim Miller. All in favor of the suspension, signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Craig?
Thank you, Mayor Caulfield, members of the City Council, City Manager Lynch. I think this is the first time I've ever stood in front of the City Council that wasn't anything related to the arena, so this is new for me. It's very timely, though, because on Friday morning at 6 o'clock in the morning when I was out walking my dog, as I do between 4 and 6 times a day, the door opened on Hurd Street. Out came a pit bull, not on a leash, first he knocked me into the street because I was trying to protect my dog, and then he attacked my dog, and luckily there were 2 gentlemen, one of which was Michael Farnham from the court, that actually saw all this happening and came out and helped pull the pit bull off my dog. I brought some pictures that I think most of you have seen, but I'll pass them around anyway so you can take a look at the size of my dog. He's pretty big, as well as, you know, if I just worry that if this were a smaller dog, if it were a child, that, you know, the outcome could have been a lot worse. As you can see, there's tubes in the dog now. You know, it's very anguishing, to say the least. It was kind of a very traumatic experience. And I've always, last 7 years, I've lived downtown, never been afraid to walk around downtown. Last 3 years, I've had a dog, never been afraid to walk around with a dog. Now I found myself, over the last 4 or 5 days, looking over my shoulder. Now, the one thing that I ask that you folks, when you do talk about it in your subcommittee meeting, is to take a look at maybe putting a harsher citation or a fine on people that do allow their dogs to get out without a leash. I know right now that there's I believe there's a fine that people have to pay if their dog is off the leash, and they're cited for that. I'm not sure how much it is, but I think that one of the things you might want to take into consideration is that if a dog is off a leash and attacks another dog or a person, then the fine becomes that much higher and might make these people more responsible to keep their dogs on a leash. The reason the gentleman had the dog off the leash was he was in a hurry to get to work. He didn't think that anybody would be out that early in the morning, which usually I am. So, you know, I just think it was their responsibility on that person's part. The other thing is, once a dog is reported to the animal control officers as having attacked somebody, maybe you make them wear a muzzle out in public when they're out walking them. Now, I'm not trying to say that, in this case, it was a pit bull. I'm not trying to say it's just pit bulls and that pit bulls should be banned. That's not what I'm saying at all. What I'm saying is that if there are more, excuse the pun, but more teeth in the ordinance, what would happen to the owner of a dog if they did attack somebody, if they're off their leash? You know, that may be the answer to the whole thing. So thank you for letting me have a couple minutes of your time tonight. Obviously, outside of the arena, you know, the dog's the only family that I really have up here, so both of those things are very important to me.
Thank
so.
you very much,
I
Mr. Gates.
appreciate it.
And Council Milonazo is the chairman of the Public Safety Subcommittee, and he'll be convening meetings and invite Mr. Gates and
Yes.
the law department and so forth, see if we can come up with something that's credible.
Does the law department, through you, Mr. Mayor, does the law department have a copy of the ordinance that the
Yes.
city of Boston uses?
Yes, they do.
Okay.
Yes, they do.
Thank you.
And in the city of Boston, pit bulls, if you want to walk a pit bull in the city of Boston, it has to be on a leash, and it has to have a muzzle. And you have to have a placard on your home indicating a pit bull resides there.
Okay.
Councilor Rita Mercer.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Craig Gates made a very interesting point when he spoke up, and it's an unfortunate situation. He called me up. He was devastated. I almost cried myself. I love animals, but here's the interesting point that he made. There's a fine if your dog is off a leash. There should be a more substantial fine if your dog is not only off a leash, but causes destruction to another dog or a human being. That should be hitting the owner in the pocketbook. This is really devastating, and you shouldn't have to be going out of your house, looking over your shoulder, wondering. It scars your mind is what it did, and so we should explore that at the Public Safety Subcommittee as well.
Well, it's in good hands with Council Milonazo and that subcommittee, and they'll
Yes.
address it. And yes, Council Broderick.
Do we need a motion to refer there?
I was just going to get into that. So, motion to refer this ordinance to the Public Safety Subcommittee by Council Broderick, seconded by Councilor Lindsay. All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. And I think what I'm looking for, and the council is looking for, Manager Lynch is looking for, something that we can hang our hat on and
Muzzle.
make sure people are safe and us, right?
Muzzle.
Okay. Thank you, Councilor Mercier. Moving on with the agenda. And it's the last article on the agenda. An ordinance amending the Code of Ordinances, City of Lowell, Massachusetts, with respect to Chapter 9 thereof entitled Waste and Recycling. Motion to waive the full reading by Councilor Rita Mercier, seconded by Councilor Armin Mercier. All in favor of waiving the full reading, signify by saying aye. Any opposed? The full reading is waived. Second reading by title, an ordinance amending the Code of Ordinances, City of Lowell, Massachusetts, with respect to Chapter 9 thereof entitled Waste and Recycling. Discussion? What's the wish of the body?
Goes to a public hearing?
Public hearing.
I'm sorry. That is, it's going to a public hearing November 25th. All in favor,
moved.
send it to a public hearing November 25th. Signify by saying
Is this
aye.
going as written, or do we want to amend that?
That will be amended to reflect that we will still provide the solid waste service to the 4 units.
Okay,
it'll
so when
be
it
anything
goes to the
over-
public hearing, that's how it will be
That's
presented?
correct.
Okay, thank you.
November 25th, that's going to a public hearing.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
if I could just say, we offer the subject because I just have one thing to mention.
Yeah.
That we have such a thing in the city called the Friends of the Council on Aging. It's the arm of the Council on Aging that provides money to help with fixtures and things like that, and things that the budget couldn't hold and help them with. But we do have a website for those that are watching this council meeting. We have a website for any additional information, www.friendslcoa, which is lowellcouncilonaging.org. It's puts you in line to events, and you can also make donations to the Friends, or in memory of a loved one, you can donate to Move the Bus campaign, and you can get to the Friends of the Council on Aging through the address bar if you just put Friends of the Council on Aging. If you didn't remember that what I just said, just put Friends of the Council on Aging. We pay for that not through the city, but through our funds, so that you know about events coming up for our fundraisers to raise money for our seniors. So I just thank you for letting me say that.
Oh,
Thank
you're
you.
welcome. Subcommittee reports. Council Elliott.
This is the right time.
Huh?
Yes, probably. I just want to, we did have a joint meeting of the Economic Environment and Neighborhood Recycling Traffic Subcommittee this evening, and it was just before this meeting, so we won't go through the entire discussion or presentation. The manager and his staff with Gunther Wellenstein went through the public relations campaign that will be rolled out and the various methods and ways of the new program is going to be rolled out and communicated to the public, as well as we discussed the ordinance that we just sent to the public hearing relative to waste recycling and eliminating service to the 4, 5, and 6 units in the city. So I think we just want to make note of it to let the public know who may have not seen the subcommittee that these are the bins that you will see, and they will be rolled out. The program is going to be pushed back from February 1st to March 1st. And as you can see, the large bins on the left of the bins that will be distributed by Allied Waste, and residents can use their existing bins now, and they can put stickers that will also be provided on their existing bins, as long as they're labeled. That can be the new recycling bins. And then the small toters, the 32-gallon will be for those residents or seniors that need smaller ones. And then, of course, on top is the bags that will be sold. I guess one question did come to mind. Has there been discussion, Mr. Manager, as to where these bags will be sold? I know we had mentioned to various vendors, and we have the bins that will be placed at banks and in various locations to see, let people see what they like. But the color is purple for our city. And where will they be located? Has that been rolled out yet?
The vendor that we're utilizing to provide the bags is responsible for making contact with the various stores throughout the city. These bags have become pretty commonplace throughout the Commonwealth and a number of other states that are now using this type of system, like Worcester uses entirely. And so there's a business that's been generated as a result of that, and they do everything. Nothing comes through the city, really. They make the contact with the stores, so they'll be working with the supermarkets, the convenience stores, and they'll be arranging for the supplying them and then resupplying them as they go on. So that list hasn't been finalized yet, but that's going to be taking place over the next several weeks as well.
And do we suspect there'll be in most of them, or if vendors want to sell them, they contact your
If they
office?
contact us, we can put them in touch with the company or get their name off to the company. I do anticipate this is the type of item that is really a convenience for the citizens. So stores will be interested in doing this because they know that when people need to buy 10 of these bags, they'll go, and hopefully they'll also buy a gallon of milk, a loaf of bread, and
Right.
so on.
Okay. Well, that's a report, Mr. Mayor, and it was a good meeting, and I think there was a lot of information that was distributed or given to the council and to the public, and that's a report of progress.
It was very informative, and I noticed, Mr. Manager, we're going to put advertising on LRTA buses and so forth.
That's correct.
That's excellent. I think that's going to certainly help, and I think what Councilor Ammercia brought out is very important, too, to bring some minorities onto that subcommittee.
We need input and assistance
Yes,
from people
yes,
who we know will be most affected.
Definitely.
And that is that community.
Accept the reporter's report of progress by Councilor Broderick, seconded by Councilor Kazanjian. All in favor of accepting the report, place it on file. Signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Councilor Kazanjian.
Thank you, Mayor. This is on the subcommittee we had last night for the 3 acres of land next to the arena. And I think it was by the way, all my colleagues were there. It was a very important meeting, and I think it was a very productive meeting. We gathered a lot of information. The administration was here, and also Chancellor Meehan was here from the university, Dana Skinner from the university, and also on the Arena Commission was here. And like I said, we gathered awful lot of information. I'm going to make it very brief because everybody was here at the meeting. And we made negotiations. Well, we referred it to the city manager to have negotiations with the chancellor. In 4 weeks' time, we'll bring it back to the full body, the subcommittee again, and and see what he has to, what the proposal is.
Yeah, Councilor Milonasso.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I agree with my colleague, Councilor Kazanjian. It was a good meeting. It was very productive. I do, though, want to just state from the economic development side that, again, I want to encourage this council, and I know they'll do the right thing in the end, that we can't throw the baby out with the bathwater when we're talking about this arena. It was Paul Tsongas' legacy to have this arena built and have this arena represent that Lowell has become a destination city. If you recall back when this arena was talked about, it actually went on the ballot as a ballot question. It's ironic that it's election day today, but it actually went on as a ballot question and actually won when people knew, as Chancellor Meehan indicated last night, that it wasn't going to make money. Clearly, at the end of the day, we're all very concerned with the fact that it has $1 million deficit that we need to deal with. And this council, in their wisdom and collectively, and I hope working in partnership with the university, will deal with this. But at the end of the day, and I'll just speak for myself, we may need to view this arena as we view any other municipal building, and if it has to operate at a deficit, unfortunately, in my opinion, based upon the fact that the voters voted for us to do this, we may need to do that. Again, I hope it doesn't come to that. I hope that we come to a conclusion and that we can take it off the backs of the taxpayers. But again, I would just encourage the council not to, again, I'm trying to take the high road, throw the baby out with the bathwater. I really think it's very important, and I know that the council in the end will do the right thing, working with the city manager and working with the chancellor.
The original plans were for a $45 million facility with 10,000 seats, and I didn't support that, and I had my head handed to me, but as it turned out, I think it was in the best interest of the city to scale the project down. But on the other side of the coin, I think the entire council and the administration want to see the facility operate without the deficit that it presently has. We cannot continue to let that facility operate at $1.2 million a year in a deficit range, and it's only common sense. If you had a car that was giving you 3 miles to the gallon, you wouldn't own it long. You would get rid of it. So I think that's what we have to address this and find ways and means of operating it sensibly. Councilor Armin Mercier?
I just want to go back further than that. The original idea was a hockey rink for the university. It was Paul Tsongas who decided, rightfully so, and to his credit, to form a partnership with the city and build an arena that would provide what the university needed, and they would throw in some money, and then what he thought as a vision for Lowell. So the original intent here was not an arena, it was a hockey rink for the University of Lowell. It turned out to be, I think, a better deal, but we need to deal with that deficit.
Yeah.
And if that deficit means it can only be handled by going back to this original intent and have the arena with a partnership with the city to run it, I think that's the way we should pursue it. I don't think we should accept the fact that because it passed with a very small margin, knowing that it was going to cost some money, I don't think if you told the people today to vote for this arena that it would cost $1 million or $2 million or all kinds of money every year. I don't think at that point it would pass. I think we do have to keep the arena. It's great for the city. We've got to form a partnership with the university. We've got to do something about the deficit. I haven't heard one single person in the city of Lowell that told me that they're happy with that deficit. Now, when they voted, they knew it was going to cost money, but nobody suggested it was going to cost this kind of money, because we're also looking at some capital improvement that needs to be done there that's going to cost an awful lot of money. And if that's on the backs of the taxpayers, I'm not so sure today they'd vote for it.
I think collectively, we circle the wagons with the administration and hopefully UMass Lowell and do what's best for the university and the city and everyone involved, and to reduce that deficit as much as we can. Any further business? Motion to adjourn by Council Broderick, seconded by Council Armin Mercier. Thank you. Get that out of the way.
Another one down.